Hey yogis, I'm Nicole. Welcome to my yoga time. Today's class is a roll and release from temple to toes, and I'm going to be using a cork massage ball. This particular massage ball is from a home kit that I've created. It's a cupping, massage and ball set. So what's unique about this set is the type of cup. So we've got a blend of silicone cups and also a glass bell cup combined with the massage ball. So if you'd like to know more about cupping, how to use the cups, then check out the tutorial on cupping. Today we're just focusing on the ball. Now of course you don't have to use a cork ball to do this practice. Any massage ball or even a tennis ball will do the trick. We're going to start on our navel, starting with the temples. So just bring yourself down into your Sphinx pose and just gently applying a little bit of pressure around the temple in a circular motion with your ball. So being mindful not to apply too much pressure. Feel free to take the circles in both directions. So how much time you want to spend with the ball in different parts of the body will vary. So feel free to pause the class at any stage if you need longer than what I'm doing. And what's important to note when we do use massage balls, and obviously the intention is to release and reshape the fascia, we've got a window, usually about 5 to 10 minutes after you use the ball to try and stretch or lengthen that part of the body. So today's practice will combine using the ball also with a few yoga poses. So I'm going to move down to the jaw now. If you want longer on the temple, stay there. So just moving again in circular motions or up and down, side to side. There really is no right or wrong way to work with the ball, as long as you're not causing too much pain. So it's a fine line between the good pain and the bad pain. But do be sure if you've got one really painful spot in the body, not to just focus on that place. Do move around. If you'd like more time on the jaw, please take it. I'm going to move down to the neck. Just working along the side of the neck. Feel free to stay longer here if you need to. I'm going to move to the other temple. So whether you're using a massage ball or the massage cups or both, obviously they don't replace the need for your professional therapist, whether that be your physiotherapist, massage therapist or whoever. But they're a great tool to use at home to mitigate aches and pains, to release the fascia, tight and sore muscles. Just moving down to the jaw now. And both the balls and the cups really help to increase recovery time after injury. So when working with the jaw, feel free to open and close and even jut the jaw forwards and backwards. Take more time there if you need. I'm going to descend to the neck. And taking more time there if you need to. I'm just going to place the ball to the side, return to a seated position. So any comfortable seated position is fine. Feel free to sit up on the block if your hips are tight. So just wanting to release that area now, we'll take the hands behind you, interlace those fingers. Take the hands over to your left, elbow pointing to the left, turning the head to the left. Then drop the ear and lift the chin diagonally. So you should feel a nice lengthening from the jaw down to the collarbone. Remember to breathe. Find your diaphragmatic breath. And let's bring the head back to center now, changing sides, arms over to your right, dropping the ear, lifting the chin. And release. So from here we'll come to standing. Do bring your massage ball with you and move yourself close to a wall. So positioning yourself near the wall now, we're going to work on the shoulders. So taking the ball behind you on either the left or the right side and then leaning back into the wall. And again, there's no right or wrong way of doing this. Feel free to move up and down, side to side, work into your shoulders. You find your sensitive spots. And again, apply just a nice amount of pressure. Don't go too hard. And there are so many ways of using the ball. You can get into the shoulders also in a laying position as well. I just prefer to stand for this one, but of course, what works for you. If you need to move the ball a little lower, getting underneath the shoulder blade. So how you move and roll is unique to you. Always looks a little funny, but feels good. I'm changing sides, but by all means, if you need longer, please do take it. So I like to start up a little bit higher, closer to the neck, and then work my way down and around that shoulder blade. So certainly a wonderful tool if you're in desperate need of a massage and you're unable to get in to see your therapist for whatever reason. Again, it's not going to replace the need for that professional help, but it will certainly mitigate those aches and pains. If you need longer on the shoulders, please pause the class. I'm going to leave the shoulders there for now and return to a seated position. So if you've got a block handy, feel free to sit on the block. Again, it's not important what we do with the legs, we're focusing on the shoulders. So a little bit of nerve tensioning here as well. I'll get you to take your arms out to the side and turn the palms away, push through the heels of the palms and try and pull the fingertips back. Then very gently roll your shoulders forward and take them down, and then see if you can move the elbows in the opposite direction. They'll want to go up and back. It's not a great movement, but you should start to feel a line of heat or a gentle tingling down the arms. If there's any pain or discomfort in the neck or the shoulders, don't practice this, give it a miss. From there, we'll turn the palms up, connect index finger and thumbs, roll the wrists, roll the shoulders forward and down, elbows up and back. So that lovely line of heat will still be there, just in a slightly different position. Well done. Let's release, take the arms out wide and then cross the right arm over the left. So option one, you'll stay here with that right arm straight, creating resistance between the arms and bringing that right shoulder down. Option two, bend the right arm and take a full bind. Forearms pressing together. You might like to drop the chin here, allow the upper back to round. Breathing into the shoulders and the upper back. And let's release. So same as before, turn the palms away, push through the heels of the palms, shoulders forward and down, elbows up and back. So we never ever want to stretch the nerves, but it is important that they are able to glide, and quite often they can get stuck, which is when we can experience nerve pain. So connecting index fingers, rolling wrists, rolling shoulders. When you're ready, we'll take those eagle arms on the other side. So left arm on top, bending the right, either staying there if you're nursing a shoulder injury, or taking the full bind. And let's release. Coming over onto all fours now, we're going to move into our puppy pose. So a couple of choices here. Keeping those hips nice and high, extending the arms out in front, and if your forehead doesn't meet the mat, you can always use the block. Let's have those hands as wide as the mat and then lift the palms. So you've just got your fingertips pressing down into the mat. And gently squeeze the shoulders back towards the hips. If you're needing a little wrist therapy here as well, you might even like to make little pulses through the fingertips. An option to stay there or bring those elbows a little closer, taking the hands into prayer above the head. And be sure to breathe into the upper back, the shoulders, behind the heart center. And let's release. So from here we'll come to a seated position. Recruit your ball once again. I'm going to get into that piriformis muscle. So taking a seated pigeon here, left ankle to the right knee, and then place the ball underneath the left buttock. Lifting up, so a little bit of weight into the hands, and just begin to roll forwards and backwards or side to side. For many, this will be a juicy spot. Now, the sciatic nerve is fairly shallow, so if you start to feel a bit nervy, that sort of achy pain, then ease off. You're going a bit too hard. The balls have a tendency of rolling away from time to time. So this is also a lovely one to do at the wall as well. You don't have to do it seated. And certainly if you're at the wall, sometimes you can roll around the side to get to the outer edge of the hip a little better than what you can seated. So if you need longer with this side, please take it. I'll come to standing and demonstrate the other side on the wall. So taking the ball to the right buttock and then just leaning back into that and rolling again side to side, or if you want to go to the outer hip, turning all the way around. So again, if you're needing longer here, please take it. Otherwise, we'll come down to the mat and we'll stretch out those piriformis muscles. So a few choices here, yogis, depending on what's going on with your hips and your knees. Option 1 will be your reclined pigeon pose. So if you're reclining, take one ankle to the knee. Maybe you're staying here. There's an option to place a block underneath your foot. An option to take the block underneath the head if the neck is straining. You might even like to take a hold of that right leg. So if you're taking this reclined variation and you're looking for something a little deeper, move the foot down closer to the hip crease and have your hands on top of the shin. Alternatively, we can come to a seated pigeon and we'll take a double pigeon for this one. So where we're crossing the legs. Now do stack the feet underneath the knees. So don't cross at the ankles, take the feet a little bit wider, crossing at the calves. We can start with right leg in front of the left. So option to stay as you are, or of course you can place that right foot on top of the knee. When you're ready, we'll fold forward. So if this is an option for you, feel free to recline. You might like to use your block or your hands to make a pillow to support the head. And if you're in the seated pigeon, do activate the feet a little. Try and press them down and then move them away from one another. So it's only a subtle movement, sending the right foot to the left and the left foot to the right. So with that activation, you should feel a deeper lengthening through the piriformis, the low back and the sacrum, but also stability around those hips. So if you're in a reclined pigeon, release the pose on your next exhalation. If you're seated, inhale to come on up. So if you're reclined, simply change sides. If you're seated, you might like to take those knees just briefly side to side. Then when you're ready, changing sides, left leg in front. Again, we're stacking the feet and the knees, either staying here or left foot on top of the right. Feet pressed down and away from one another. And when you're ready, folding forward, allowing the back to round. Breathing into the lower back, the hips. And do try to hold the breath each time for 1 or 2 counts before you exhale slowly. If you're in your reclined pigeon, you can release the pose, bring yourself up to seated. Yogis who are seated, let's come all the way up. Take the block to the side. Feel free to come over onto all fours. Raise the right leg and take it over to the left, toes are tucking under. Look over your shoulder. Feel free to allow the back to round a touch here and press into the hands, the hips and the heel. So we get into the outer hip and that IT band. And let's release, we'll change sides. And coming back to center. Let's recruit the ball once again. This time taking it underneath your shin. So the ball's going to roll just on the outside of the shin bone and just move that leg forwards and backwards. So another juicy spot for many. This would be especially good for those suffering shin splints. Quite often we don't realise that we're sore until we get to the mat and we test it out with our yoga or with the ball. So there's so much you can do with the massage ball, and I'm not going to cover everything in this tutorial. And there are some key body parts that I'm not covering with the ball that I've covered with the cups in the cupping tutorial. And the two really complement each other quite well when you consider that the massage ball is applying that compression. It's like a positive massage, whereas the cups are drawing the skin, the muscles, the fascia up instead of compressing them. So it's more like a negative massage effect. Both are excellent tools to unhinge the body's matrix, the fascia. Take more time on that shin if you need to. I'm going to move to the other side. If you need longer here, please take it. So to counter stretch those shins, so this might not be an option for everybody depending on your knees and your ankles. If it is available for you, do come into this kneeling position, take those hands behind you and gently pick up those knees. And let's release. Coming into a seated position now, we'll move to the calves. So hands behind you, lifting up the bottom and gently rocking forwards and backwards. You might like to move side to side, rolling over that calf muscle, moving forwards and backwards. Taking more time there if you need to. I'm going to change sides. And certainly if you've got the full cupping set as well, you'll know that the legs are very easy to cup on your own if you're flying solo. And again, the Bell glass cup is a little more gentle. It's better for the legs, but you can use the silicone ones as well. I would use the glass Bell one if you're looking to slide the cup, whereas if you're going to keep them static, then the silicone ones are fine. Whether you want to target your thighs or your calves. And we'll finish that one there. We'll just pop the ball to the side. It's coming back into tabletop position. So I'll leave it up to you here. You can either take 1 foot back at a time, tucking those toes under, pressing through the heel to stretch out the calves. Or if you'd like to take a downward facing dog, by all means. If you are taking a downward dog, just take a moment to briefly walk the feet. So walking them slowly, not running. And then when you settle into your down dog, you might like to try and pick up the tips of your toes and notice the sensation that brings into your calves. Gently press into the pads of the fingers, broaden the shoulders. Try and send your chest toward your thighs. So from your downward facing dog, walk those feet up to the top of your mat and just take a moment here in a forward fold. So feel free to take those feet as wide as the hips. So you might like to take your rag doll, just collecting opposite elbows with the hands, a little bend in the knees. Feel free to stay still or rock side to side. Or if it's at ease for you, pistol grip, middle finger and pointer finger around the big toes. Letting those elbows bend out to the side. If you can, belly to touch the thighs, so feel free to bend those knees as much as you need to. And ever so slightly, gently press those feet away from one another. And just notice how you're feeling along the back side of the body. Let's take 3 exhalations through the mouth and ha out the breath. Be sure to lift those shoulders towards your hips. From here, let's release the toes or the elbows, bend in the knees, roll up to standing and bring your ball with you. So moving to the feet now. So this is especially good for those that are suffering from plantar fasciitis as well. Most of us will be quite tender in the feet even if we don't have problems there. So what we'll begin with is just moving forwards and backwards. Feel free to overlap, you don't need to stay along the same line. You'll be quick to find a tender spot. So if you found a tender spot there and you're curious to know what pressure point that relates to, you can always Google the reflexology map of the feet and it will show you which organs relate to which part of the foot. So feel free to continue that forwards and backwards motion, otherwise you can move to the ball of the foot and get right up into the toes as well, going side to side. And then also into the heel. So with the heel we can move forwards and backwards, side to side as though you're scrubbing. Stay there if you need to. I'm going to change sides. So again, when you're changing sides, just rolling up and down the whole sole of the foot, forwards and backwards. Spend a little bit of time on any tender spots, but be careful not to neglect the rest of the foot. Focusing on the ball now. And moving to the heel. And let's release. So from here, let's return to that forward fold and notice if there's any difference in how far down you come. The back myofascial line of the body starts in the soles of the feet, runs all the way up the back side of the body. So now that we've released the feet, I want you to see if there's any difference there. Those feet are hip width apart. Let's inhale the arms up, bending in the knees, tucking in the chin as you fold forward. So again, feel free to collect those elbows or loop your peace fingers around your big toe. Letting the head hang. Engaging the shoulders if you've got a hold of those big toes. And just breathing into the back side of the body. And when you're ready, release those toes. We're going to lower down. So two choices here. One last exercise to stretch out the feet. If a toe squat's not an option for you because of your knees and hips, then just as we did before, curl those toes under, press into the heels. Otherwise, curling the toes under and sitting back onto the heels. So quite an intense position for most people, especially after a minute or two, though we won't be there for that long today. Or maybe you're finding that your toe squat's not as challenging as it normally is now that we've released the feet with the ball. So if you're practicing one leg at a time, change sides. And let's release. Give those feet a little pat. And we'll take a moment to come down into Savasana, just to allow the positive effects of the practice to assimilate in the body. So letting those feet fall out wide, tucking the shoulders under. Closing the eyes down and softening the forehead. You might like to connect index finger and thumbs and take a mudra, or just let those fingers naturally curl. And just observing any subtle sensations in the body. And let your awareness ride the ebb and flow of your breath. And inhaling a little deeper, feel free to move or stretch, wiggle toes and fingers, Swallow if the mouth is dry. When you're ready, roll to your preferred side. Well, I hope you enjoyed the practice today, yogis. These balls are a fantastic tool to use at home, and as mentioned, we've only just done a couple of things in this tutorial. There's so much you can explore with. If you are interested in the cupping set, then there is another tutorial on the cups alone. And of course, if you would like to purchase these, then check out the link below. And if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to support free yoga on YouTube. Wishing you a lovely day.